the engineering lead at JPL for the Curiosity rover mission. And he said when they were trying to land the Curiosity rover on the surface of Mars, they were really struggling with coming up with a way to land this really delicate equipment on the surface of a planet, so far away because, in the past they had used parachutes and airbags, which is fine, like if you're landing something that's not quite so delicate, but it wasn't going to work for this particular case. And so of course, their first solution was bigger parachutes, better airbags, right? Like that's always our first thing is let's just do bigger and better what we're already doing. But that wasn't going to work because of how delicate the equipment was. And so what they had to do was ask, okay, on Earth, if we need to transport delicate equipment, say there's like a Steinway piano and you want to get it from the top floor of an apartment in Manhattan and you want to transport it to another apartment, how do you do that? And they said, well, you would use a crane. You would take a crane, you would, connect it to the piano, lift it out through the window, and you would slowly lower it to the ground. And they said, well, what if we create a kind of sky crane, a vehicle that could hover over the surface of Mars and slowly lower Curiosity rover and then like you'll cut the tether and go off and crash in the distance. And that's exactly what they did. And Adam told me, he said, what he learned from that process is you have to stay in the dark room. You have to stay in the place where you're not certain you're going to come up with an answer. Everything about you wants to gravitate to the first ray of light. Bigger parachutes, better airbags, right? The most practical, immediate thing we can do. But he said, you have to train yourself to stay in the dark room. And that takes bravery, especially when you see your window of opportunity closing. Now, in our case, that might mean we're missing a client deadline. In their case, it means it's another 17 years before Mars and Earth are this close again, right? So like you were talking about pressure, that's pressure to solve a problem. So we have to train ourselves as leaders to be willing to stay in the dark room, to keep our team in the dark room long enough to get to the real value. Now, at some point we have to move. We can't stay there forever. But often we move too quickly, which is that time versus value tension. And we often err on the side of let's do it efficiently instead of let's create the value that we're being tasked with creating.